Of course, everything was just no buttons were working. The mute was off. Like the volume is currently off. Just wow. You would think I was not even a millennial.
You guys are supposed to know how to use technology.
Right. No, it leaves me every day. It leaves me every day, more and more.
So the light that's above you
Yeah,
is kind of doing that. So
Okay.
can that light go off? Yes.
Better?
100% better.
Hi.
Hi.
You look so good.
Oh,
I love
please.
the setup. It's so official.
I know, right? I got my
love
books up there and everything.
I know. I love it. I love them.
Yeah, this whole thing is just like a kind of a crazy, I don't even really know where it came from other than I was like bored. Well, not bored, but
I know. I love everything that you've been doing since like 2020. I feel like it's just set a fire under so many people, but especially you, like all the projects you've been dropping. I'm obsessed. And I think that this podcast too, like I've been listening to the other ones, watching the other ones.
Yeah.
And it's like what the school district needs right now. So it's perfect. Yeah.
Yay. Well, I when you put stuff out there and it's just like, is anybody looking at you?
Yeah.
No idea. And I keep looking at the stats and everything. I'm like, oh, 30 people looked at this one.
Yeah. New milestone. I feel that.
I think one of them has like, I think the first one is like 148, I think is
oh my gosh, that's great though.
It's good. I mean, I wanted to somehow, go out there and crazy, but baby steps. I gotta just kind of keep churning it out and all that.
Right.
So I am so excited. This is episode 10.
Wow.
We're episode 10.
That's funny.
Episode 10.
I love that.
I didn't even plan that. I swear I didn't even plan
I promise. I know that you didn't. I believe
you. So this is welcome to Change for the Better, the Power of Arts in Education.
I'm Stacey Tiro, a high school performing arts teacher for over 25 years. I've taught a lot of amazing people. Now that so many of my students are adults, they'll teach me how, through the lessons in my classroom, they have been changed for the better.
Okay, so episode 10, I have in front of me another superstar.
Wow.
From the past. She comes from a superstar family. I happen to work with her father, who's one of our guidance counselors. We've worked together for years and years. I also had two of her brothers go through the program, and it felt like, they just kept coming, and I was like, bring it on. I'll take them all.
I know.
And again, one of my faves, I say that because, I feel like everybody who I've interviewed so far are my faves, but this is like truly, she's episode 10.
I know. This just means it's meant to be, honestly. That's so crazy.
Indeed. So, I had to think back for a second because I knew that you were in all four of the musicals, but then I was like, wait, she was also in like all of the fall shows too. So like from the time she walked in as a freshman, she did 8 shows, which is pretty much all you could do. Her ensemble was in Fame and Pippin, and then she got Ariel in Footloose and Janet in The Drowsy Chaperone, and she was just like, this superstar on the stage. And then when she graduated, she worked as a district representative for Congressman Mondaire Jones of New York's 17th district, and Mondaire is really big in representing East Ramapo and this area in general, who is also a Spring Valley High School alum. So he's done a lot of great work. And this person, sorry, I'm giving away who you are. She did a lot of work for Congressman Jones. Now she's shifted to working as a marketing administrator for Grand Seiko USA. That sounds kind of big deal. A luxury watch company, Japanese based. She serves as a leader in her church. She's a very, very faithful person within her church and her community. She dabbles in activism. She was a flawless, glammed up semifinalist in the Miss New York USA pageant recently. She's a budding fashionista who you can follow on all the social media stuff at 10ontrend_.
Yep.
I got that right?
You did.
Okay, good. So I'm just gonna kind of move right into question number one so you can introduce yourself. So please tell me, what is your name, the year you graduated, and talk more about what you do now.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Tendrina Alexandre. Everyone calls me 10. So that's why we're joking about how it's so funny that this is episode number 10. And my name's 10. I graduated from Spring Valley High School in 2012, which is crazy to say out loud. Like, how did we get here? This is my 10-year anniversary. This is our 10-year anniversary. So we're excited
Reunion.
celebrating that. Yeah, our reunion. So we're excited for that. And now, like you said, Ms. Tiro, I work in marketing as an administrator / coordinator for a luxury watch company. So I was in politics for 6 years. Like you said, my last gig was with Congressman Mondaire Jones. Before that, I was with our state senator at the time, Senator Carlucci. And then before that, I was with another senator in New York City. And it was time for a switch up. It was time for a switch up. So I took a definite leap of faith and switched up and moved over to the private sector. And that has been a lot of fun so far. I'm only about a month and a half in, but so far, so good.
It's good. And you're traveling? Are you traveling for them?
I am. So I just came back today from my first trip. I was in Denver, Colorado. One portion of my job is kind of setting up events for retailers that we have across the country. And so sometimes I have to go to those retailers to make sure that everything's all good with our event, make sure the brand is represented correctly, make sure that any of my colleagues that will be there are all situated and good to go. So that was yesterday was my first trip. And I just came back today and I'm really excited to continue the traveling. I feel like I found my thing, you know?
Well, and being the fashionista you are, this kind of fits right into that wheelhouse there.
I feel the same way. So thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sorry, I'm talking about that. Definitely go visit her Instagram and whatever the social media stuff, because she like posts all sorts of stuff, her wearing all sorts of, you know, gorgeous clothing. And she's just like a flawless individual, both inside and out. So definitely I'm going to post that in the blog post so you can see all that. Okay, so let's move into looking back, shall we?
Fun.
So first, question number 2, using your adult brain, describe your adolescent self.
Yeah, I love this question because it's just great. It's great because this generation, Gen Z, that's in high school now, they are so aware of just mental health and how to take care of their self in the current time that they live in. And I think that's something that my generation struggled with. And so now learning all these things that are trending, like mental health and just becoming aware of oneself and a reflection and all that, I can look back and describe myself as someone who is eager to please in good and bad ways. So I was an extreme people pleaser. I wanted to make those around me happy. And I think that brought me joy when I saw other people happy. That made me happy as well. And my eagerness also drove me to discover new things about myself. And so that was great. But sometimes that eagerness could lead me to doing things that, you know, didn't really bring me joy or really didn't satisfy me that much or put a little bit too much on my plate. So in my adult self, looking back in my high school self, that's definitely how I I would honestly see myself. Yeah.
It's funny. The last two interviews that I had, one was with Hearns from
Mhm.
your class, and then
Dave.
one was with Kristen Santos La Trenta now.
No way.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That was like literally like last week.
Wow.
And like you all sort of reflected that similar thing about people pleasing and loving people and being very very into the interpersonal stuff,
Right.
and how that has its advantages and disadvantages, because you wind up giving so much of yourself because
Yes.
that feels right, that
Mhm.
it can absolutely drain you.
For
So
sure.
I think you're right on target with the concept that people now are more aware of the mental health things. I think that a lot of the young kids now maybe don't really know how to do it. And
Right.
I feel like it's kind of our place to put things out there that help them
Yes.
do that. So I
Right.
think that's kind of one of the missions of this podcast, is to,
Mhm.
like show them, look, these are the people who were where you are
Yeah.
now. So this is what they were thinking too. So
Yeah.
you're
Exactly.
not crazy.
You're not crazy and you're not alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you have the resources to kind of help you be better than we were, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, God. Okay. So let's focus in on the dance studio, the rehearsal studio space.
My
Um,
favorite space. Still my happy place in my brain.
so what was something or things, right, that happened in the studio that helped you to manage or to regulate your adolescent self?
I definitely would say I found my sense of confidence in the studio 1000%. I think I can come off very confident because I've just been trained as a Haitian American to be super sure of what you're saying and just to try to be excellent in every way that you can.
Mm.
But I was definitely very insecure and still struggle with a lot of insecurities, but especially coming out of a private school um, where I was the only Black woman in my class
Mm.
at the time. And in elementary school, same thing. I was one of the very few Black kids in the class. And coming into a public school where things were very different, I didn't know how I was going to be accepted or perceived or what people would think of me, especially because I didn't grow up in the school district with a lot of the students. The studio made me feel like I belonged, and the studio made me feel like I had a place. I had a place in high school. I had a place in the world. It
Mm.
just made me so much more sure of myself.
Mm.
And I still say that to this day, not just the studio, but just when I get an opportunity to bring joy to people through performance or through advocacy, like you said, and just encourage people in that way. Um, I feel like that's when I'm most confident. That's when I'm in myself.
Do a little happy dance.
Right.
Yeah, and I love giving that feeling, making that available to kids. Even today, they walk into the studio and they're like, oh my God, what is this place? And then
Yeah.
my goal is like within 5 minutes, I want you to feel like this is your home.
Yes. And I think you
So,
do such a great job of that. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And you allow each student to be fully themselves. We don't all have to be the same way, or even like when you're teaching us choreography, we don't even have to express it the same way. You kind of still allow us to have that freedom. And I think there's something, and you would definitely know more about this than me, but there's something that is so powerful when we get to express ourselves physically, that it releases in us something emotionally. It just drives something deeper within us that I can never put my finger on. I had emotional reactions, but even now as an adult, I'm learning how to process emotions appropriately and how to express myself and how to really tap into myself and learn what it is that I'm feeling. Again, going back to like just some cultural training and things that I have been raised with. But the studio is definitely, especially because I don't know if you remember, I grew up figure skating and I injured myself in the middle of high school. And so figure skating was a massive part of who I was. And I felt without skating, what am I going to do? Like, who am I? Where do I go? What do I do? And so the studio, just taught me so much about myself and really taught me to, it was an outlet of expression for me that I would not have done as well in school if I did not have that.
Yeah, high school ice skating's loss was our gain.
Yeah, right. And my coach would always say that. She's like, but I see you're dancing. I'm like, it's not the same. It's not the same.
I don't have a big giant boot strapped to my ankle.
Right.
And I remember having conversations with your dad, again, guidance counselor, keeping a really really sharp eye out for his kid who was coming in from the private school. And he's like, look after her. I'm like, you got it.
Yes. Yeah, I won't ever forget. I think my first day of school, or maybe at least within the first week, I went to my father in the guidance counselor's office. And as we were leaving, you were walking past, I think it was like fall auditions were going to be starting soon. You were walking past and he grabbed you and he said, Miss Tiro, my daughter, she's interested in theater. Like, this is her. Literally, I remember the handoff and I remember it. And from that moment on, you were like, my second safe place in that school. So that the studio definitely was a rock for me in high school.
Well, that's good. That's my goal. So that's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. Okay. So coming back into the studio. So what were some lessons that you felt like you learned there that you think about or that you use today, that you've extended out into today?
That's so great. Another issue with my generation and younger is that we often think that like you just show up and you're excellent at something and that's it. Like, you don't have to work really hard for anything. And if it's not easy on the first try, if it doesn't come to you naturally on the first try, then it's just not for you. And the studio taught me so much different than that. I definitely still struggle with that today. Like, if something doesn't come to me naturally, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not for me. But being in the studio taught me that everything comes with practice, comes with just excellence, like coming into the space with a desire to be better than you were the day before, a desire to learn, a desire to grow, to receive feedback, criticism in the best ways. And and
constructive
also
criticism.
yes, constructive criticism. And also that it's not only in that space that you prepare for excellence, if that makes sense. I remember you would always teach us to practice little things, even at home, that would just make us even better when we came back to the studio the next day. And I still teach myself and remember those lessons even now. If I get frustrated because something's not coming naturally to me on the first try, or if I feel like I've been trying hard at something, but I'm just not doing it as excellently as I would, I remind myself, you still have to keep showing up. You still have to put in the effort. You still have to do the little things that will add up to that bigger picture that you are striving for, And I think that all was ingrained in me.
Yeah. And I was just having a conversation with one of my gymnastics buddies, my geriatric gymnastics buddies. And
stop it.
Well, so we're coaching, new adults and all that.
Yeah.
And
So cool.
And the thing that keeps like the running theme is that it's all process. Like there's no real goal. Like, you can have things that you like might want to do,
right,
but everything is process.
Yes.
And you can't think about, if I don't get to that goal by blah, 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 then I'm a failure. But it's like you said, it's like those little baby steps that get us there eventually. Long term, years, not a week.
Absolutely. That is so good. And social media often like teaches us the opposite, right? That like instant gratification, you're gonna get it quick, girl. Like, just graduate, just do that, just do this. And I think sometimes in high school, we can be taught the same thing, indirectly be taught a similar narrative, like get straight A's,
Mhm.
be an AP student, be an honor student, graduate, go to Harvard, go to Harvard Law School, be a doctor, whatever. And then like, then you're set for success. And now as a 28-year-old, I'm still learning and ingraining in my brain that like life is a process. Everything is a process. There is no place that we're supposed to arrive at, you know? And if there is such a place, we're kind of limiting ourselves in that way, because then what happens when you get there and you're not satisfied, you know? So just yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I feel like life is just a series of like doors that you can open
yes,
that are open for you, and you have to decide to walk in and
right.
do the thing that is required.
Yeah. And
Um,
not be afraid of it too, right? In the studio, you can be really scared. You're looking at you first, Miss Tiro, who's like doing it with no issues. And then you're looking at yourself and you're awkward a little bit at first. And you kind of have to face this routine with no fear. You have to not be afraid to mess up, not be afraid to receive a little bit of constructive criticism, not be afraid to look a little silly at first, and
Mhm.
trust that it will all work out the way that it's supposed to. The final result will be worth it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that's like my teaching thesis, you know.
Yeah.
That's the motto. It's a
Yeah.
process. It's all the process. It's getting there.
Yeah,
Wherever you're going, it's just the getting there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. That's a good one. Okay, so let's kind of go back and forth a little bit. So how do you think that you have changed since you graduated from high school?
Oh man.
Mm.
Oh man. Um so in the worst way, I would say that in high school, I was a very big dreamer. I dreamed really big. I was not afraid to dream really big and kind of like go for the impossible, like just live in la la land, you know, and hope for the best. And so I think I'm a little bit of a realist now, too much of a realist. I think it's good to have a balance, but I wish I still had a little bit more of that like dream big aspect. Just do anything and everything without fear, and it will all work out the way it's supposed to. I think in the best ways, again, I've gained a lot more confidence. I'm a lot more sure of who I am. I am I am just eager to grow and learn in a way that I was not in high school. I love to learn and I love to grow in high school, but as a means to an end kind of thing, like with my high school graduation in mind. But now I just want to evolve more and more as a person each and every day, you know. So those I think I've changed in many, many ways, but those are the ones that come to mind.
Seriously, I feel like I could put your interview and Hearns's interview side by side.
I know Hearns and I feel have lived probably the same exact life, except he's male.
I agree completely. If there was any like two students who were like so much alike, it's the two of you.
Right, right.
It's amazing. It's amazing
It's
and
crazy.
wonderful.
Mhm.
Okay, so what would your Tendrina adult self tell 10 the teenager now to like help ease the way?
Mm. So many things, so many things. Like high school is just the beginning, first of all. Like high school is not the end. You are not defined by what you do in high school. Like you are so much more than your grades. You are so much more than your achievements. You are just so much more than that. That's the first thing that I would tell her. I also would tell her to follow her heart, not so much the advice of other people, or not try to play life too safe, but should just go for the things that, you know, bring her joy and make her happy.
Mhm.
And to really learn to foster deeper connections with the people that matter to you, you know.
Mhm.
Again, I think we're just so like such overachievers in high school, and like high school is everything and this is the end and like this is going to define me for the rest of my life. And it's just not that serious. I think, who you are matters more than anything else. And you become who you are through the people that you are connected with and that you foster those deep relationships with. So those are probably my top three. I'm thinking, I want to think of one more. I can't. I'll say it if I think of
Well,
it.
there's another opportunity coming up.
Okay,
for that.
cool.
So yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. It'll come to you.
Yeah.
All right. So now, adult 10. What is something that adult 10 is grappling with now? Sorry.
Coming for my soul. Oh my goodness. I love that. I think going back to, the whole life is a process thing, that is something that really resonates with me deeply, because I am so much someone who was doing everything by the timeline, like where I was going to be at this time. This is what I imagined myself doing at such a time. And I'm really trying to teach myself that, like you said, life is a journey. Time works out always the way that it's supposed to, better than you sometimes would have planned it. And that, you can't lean on society or your parents or, what people expect for your timeline to be, to work for you. It really has to be, it's based off of your circumstance, and it really has to be your choice. It really ultimately has to be your decision. You can't allow people to kind of narrate your life for you. You got to take charge of your life on your own. And I think I'm learning to be confident and learning to be satisfied with where I am now, and quit like waiting for the next big thing to happen for me to be satisfied with myself, but to learn that where I am right now is enough. I'm where I'm supposed to be. It all worked out the way that it's supposed to. And I'm happier now than I would have been if I was where I thought I wanted to be. I'm really just trying to sit with that truth and make it a reality for me. It's just something that I think I've always struggled with. I always want to be someplace. I always want to be 5 steps ahead of where I am. And even as I was reflecting, last week was my 28th birthday. As I was reflecting on my birthday, I'm like, girl, 10 years ago, you definitely did not imagine this for yourself. And that's okay. That's okay,
Well, we have our own self-set expectations, and
Right.
our parents or our
Yeah.
teachers or the
Yeah.
people around. So there's this like bubble of expectation that
Right.
a young person has to like navigate through.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't understand that ultimately the one that's living your life is you.
Yes.
So you can't define yourself by other people's expectations. They can serve as guides, that
Yes.
they can give you advice, they can help support you and navigate you through the things that you need.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's on you to
Yeah.
figure out what you want and then do the work to get it done.
1000%. I think one of the main examples for my life is just going to school after undergrad, going back to get my master's degree, or I was struggling so much. I wanted to go to master's, then I wanted to go to law school, then I wanted to get my master's in public policy, then I hated politics, then like I was always just floating around, but I was like rushing myself to try to get back to school because I wanted to please the people around me and I wanted to match their vision for my life. And I'm so happy that I didn't force myself to please others, because I would have been in debt for something that I hated, living a miserable life, and now I'm someplace where I'm really happy. I have the opportunity for my education to be paid for. And it's just so much better. It's so much better than what would have been the case if I, went to law school and got the JD at the end of my name and just made everybody proud.
Right. And you would have been great. And it would have been, but
Yeah.
you don't, there is something about follow your heart, not I don't want to be, crunchy about
Yeah,
it.
right, right.
We're like, oh, just follow your heart and do whatever. You have to be responsible, but ultimately you have to make yourself happy to what's the word that I'm trying to think of? It's more than just satisfied. It's like you have to live with yourself. Like
Yes.
your whole life, you have to live with yourself.
With yourself. And I think like purpose is so much deeper than what you are on your resume or what you strive to be or what your next plan is or the next steps are, whatever. Our purpose comes literally from inside of us. And so if we spend our entire lives trying to please people around us, trying to be excellent in the way that they expect for us to be, which could be a whole other conversation. If we spend our time trying to do that, though, we're going to miss out on bringing to the world something that only we could bring. And that scares me more than, my parents or my siblings or society, like it scares me more that I might miss out on like blessing somebody or bringing something to the world that I was created to bring, but I missed out on it because I just wanted to make other people happy.
And there are lots of different ways to do that. There's
Yes.
not one path,
1000%.
one defined path. And I think the other thing that we older people, younger people have to remember is that your path can change
Yes.
at any given time. Like you have to pay the bills, you have to feed yourself. Again, be responsible.
Right.
But I've always been an advocate for taking opportunities that come in front of you that maybe seem scary or maybe seem a little impossible. That is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today.
Yes.
Is that there was an opportunity that was put in front of me that I, in a million years, wasn't ever going to go for myself. I was never seeking that opportunity, but it kind of was laid in front of me and I had to make a decision.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what do I do? And the amount of work and the school, I had to go back to school and get a master's degree and jump through all these hoops in order to, but now I like 25 years later, I'm like still doing it. And it makes sense. And I'm still talking to you. So
it worked out. It all worked out. And that's literally what you just said. I think that's what I would definitely go back to tell 10 to little 10 is that your whole life doesn't need to be decided at this moment. And if you decide something now and you decide in 3 days or 3 years or whatever that you hate it, you have permission to change your mind. I think my generation, we went to high school and a lot of us were taught that like this is when you decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Like pick it up, go study it, and this is it. Like this is your career, this is your life. And look at me now, like 6 years in government and politics, and now I'm in a whole new industry and I love it. I learned so much from politics. I loved my time in politics. But now I'm loving my time here and I changed my mind. Like I changed the path and I'm still alive and breathing,
You're
like
okay.
It's okay.
Well, and I think the nice part about that, the lesson you can kind of pull from that is that it's like you have your skill set,
right?
You go into one thing and you use that skill set and you develop more skill set. And you move into another thing and you take all of that with you to the next one and you just keep building your skill set.
Yes.
I mean, to the point where you could eventually sort of write your own ticket.
Yes.
Decide like, where do you want to put these skills? What are the things that you do the best, you love doing the most?
Yeah.
And you're getting more exposure.
Yes.
To all these different things that are out there. And then you can go, oh, that thing. That's the thing. I'm going. That's it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's how people should look at school. That's how people should look at their careers, their jobs, whatever they're doing. Like, I don't care if you're a cashier at ShopRite. I don't care if you're volunteering at the guidance counselor's office. everything that you do, you should use it as an opportunity to just develop the skills that you already have, because it's going to always, always, always set you apart from other people in the market. You know, there's going to be something better that you can offer because of the skills that you honed in on in all of your experiences. And that's something that I've learned recently as well.
Hashtag truth.
I love that.
All right. So we're going to move this along. We're at question number 8.
Wow.
Crazy.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me one thing that you miss about your high school self, not about high school, but about your high school self. And then one thing that's gotten better as an adult.
One thing I miss about my high school self,
Little 10.
Is, again, I think just her ability to dream and just not let anything get in her way. She was just unstoppable. She was just like, I'm here and I'm taking up space and live with it, you know? And I'm gonna do what I want to do, type of thing. To a certain extent, anyways.
You were kind of like Janet in The Drowsy Chaperone.
Yes.
It was kind of like your
my
part.
favorite. She was, oh my gosh, that was my favorite show. She was my favorite role of all time. Yeah, Janet was, we understood each other for sure.
I got
I know. What was the second part of that question? So
the second part is, so that's what you miss about your high school 10.
yeah.
What's gotten better about 10 the adult?
10 the adult now isn't so reliant on other people's perceptions of her. So that is something I'm very proud of, something I've worked really hard on. She's gotten more comfortable just saying no. She's gotten more comfortable tuning in with herself and checking to make sure, you know, is this something that makes sense for me? Is this something that I want? And not just kind of pleasing people, just checking the please people box, but making sure that she is true to herself, and or I try to remain true to myself in anything that I do. So I've definitely gotten better at that since high school.
That's a good.
Thank you.
All right. So you've dropped some truth bombs here. But
Right.
if you could give, I say A, but oftentimes there's a laundry list, so I'm leaving it open for that. But if you could give a piece of sage advice to high school students now, what would it be?
High school does not define you. That's what I would let people know. You know, your life gets just so much bigger after high school, and you will get to write your own story the way that you want to write it. But you can do so much in getting yourself ahead as a person by the way that you handle high school. You know, I think people should look at high school as an opportunity to not to get out of Spring Valley, or to get out of East Rampo, or to get out of Rockland and go to college and live your best life and get out of the, you know, the eyes and roof of your parents. But it can be really, you can go and use high school as an opportunity to like build who you want to be in college and in the world. You know, you don't have to be 28 like 10 and discovering yourself now, you know, at this grand age that I am. You can discover yourself in high school. Like, you can build great habits in high school. You can learn to check in with yourself in high school. You can read and go on adventures and talk to people, have deep conversations with Miss Tiro, with your teachers, your favorite teachers, and just learn so much about the world that will prepare you and just make you even more excellent. You know, don't use high school as like your end all be all to just get out. Use it as an opportunity to just develop yourself and prepare for the world that's coming, you know?
It's a good platform to get you ready for the next platform.
Yes, exactly. I think especially the generation that's in high school now, they just are over it. and which I understand, they've been through a lot, especially with virtual learning and everything. They're over it. They want to get out. They don't want to be at home anymore. They're tired of Rockland. They're tired of Spring Valley. It's a mess, blah, blah, blah. I understand the frustrations, but I also know firsthand the gem that Spring Valley High School is, especially coming out of private school. I know how much it impacted and changed my life and just set me up for success. And I wish that the students nowadays would try to find the beauty in it, instead of, all the annoyances, which there are annoyances about it. But instead of looking at those, like really just try to find opportunities for success in high school. And I promise you, it will benefit you in the long run.
Truth. Truth.
Truth.
Truth. Truth. Hashtag.
Hashtag
Truth.
truth.
Truth bomb. Okay. So we have arrived at question 10. I'll never get over that. Okay.
I know, me neither.
So this actually does not have anything to do with high school,
Mhm.
but everything to do with like right now where you are in your place and space.
Mhm.
So tell me 3 self-care practices that you do to help to center or to regulate yourself, your adult self.
That's good.
Mhm.
I mentioned earlier, I think that I really have had a hard time with just being an emotional person. I took pride in not being very emotional. And that's not really something to be so prideful about. It's not a great thing. So I've really learned how to tap into my emotions. And I've learned that that's really impacted my mental health in the best ways. And one of the ways that I do that is through journaling. Oftentimes when I just take a moment at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day or whenever I feel a little bit overwhelmed, to kind of just write down anything that's on my mind. It doesn't even have to make sense. It helps me kind of get to the root of what might be bothering me. And it's sometimes things that I would not expect to have bugged me as much as they did. So that's one of the things that I love to do now, is to just journal and kind of like word vomit and word dump onto a page, and make space, make space to live a healthier day without so much distractions on me. I also love to schedule time with hanging out with the people I love, just like doing nothing or doing something, just being intentional about finding joy, just by being with other people, by having dinner, or I recently went to like a museum with a friend, just getting out of like your everyday routine.
Yeah.
That is very helpful.
And by the way, I need my Alexandria fix.
I know, seriously, I was gonna say that at the top. I was like, we have been struggling to get dinner for how long now, but it's gonna happen.
Yes, I know.
It's gonna happen
We get
soon.
that. We get that.
So yes, hanging out with people that we love, that helps a lot.
Mhm.
And my third thing is shopping. Don't do that at home, kids. Don't be like me, but it just brings me so much joy. It doesn't have to be shopping, but like kind of just getting inspiration, fashion inspiration, and consuming like specific type of content that from people that I really just love, the way they dress and the way that they put things together. That makes me happy. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're good at it. I mean,
Thank you.
she puts these like looks up on this inspo looks, on her Instagram, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, she can pull off anything. She can
No,
wear anything.
no,
And
it's the lie of social media.
yes, I do get that, but no, but seriously, like you are one of the most well like put together people, and not just on, not just externally, but
Thank you so much.
on the inside. You have the right ideas, you have the right, vision and focus, and
Thank you so much.
you always have, like, you definitely always have, and it's
You're the
just
best.
carrying out and doing more and more and more.
Love you so much. You have always believed, always spoken life to me and to my brothers as well. And we definitely would not have made it through high school without you. I'm telling you, That is hashtag truth. Okay. Hashtag truth. The amount of times Thespian just kept me out of trouble, and Thespians, sorry, just kept me out of trouble, and dance helped me to express myself in ways that, people my age maybe were not doing, expressing their ways themselves in such ways. But yeah, it just made me so much better. So thank you so much.
My God, I could eat
I
you.
know.
You're so amazing. And I'm
Thank
so thankful and grateful that that we got to sit here and kind of share the brainwaves.
I know.
Very soon we're going, I mean, you're in town, like, right? You're
I am.
around. Yeah.
I am.
So we're gonna make a date. Actually, maybe we'll just make a date like when we hang up here.
Yes, please. That's what I'm learning that we have to do as adults. It just has to be on the calendar.
That's right. That's right. If we have to make a change, we can do that. But
right, exactly.
Summer's coming.
I'm excited. I can't wait. That's the time that we're all our best.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tendrina Alexandre, for being episode 10.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I'm so honored.
So tune in next week for episode 11. Who's that going to be? I don't quite know. I don't know yet. For Change for the Better, the Power of Arts in Education.